Okay folks, this is test number 1. As you can see, the power supply is set to 12 volts and it's taken 1.6 amps. It's set to 1.7 amps, but the actual LED lights are taking 1.6. So what we have here are two 18 volt panels as before, but the LEDs are complete full strip LEDs and they're 6,000 lumens, and they recommend around that figure to get kind of a sun quality frequency or energy, and they are very bright. They are very bright LEDs. Okay, so we know that 12 volts 1.6 amps is going in, powering the LEDs. The LEDs are, you can see there's only one strip there. They're not wired in series or parallel. It's just one constant strip. So that's why there's only one positive and one negative. Okay, just to clarify that. And at the moment they're wired in series. So you have two 18 volt panels. And for the two 18 volt panels, we're getting 41.9 volts from them two panels. That's not too bad. That's pretty good. So we need to check now how many amps we're going to get from the panels wired in series. So let me do this while we're live. Right, so in series we are getting 20 milliamps. Because if that was .20, it'd be 200 milliamps, but it's .020, so that's 20 milliamps. Okay, so I'm going to now rewire this in parallel, rewire this connection here in parallel, and I'm going to do the same test regarding voltage and power so you can see the difference. So give me a minute there and I'll do that. Okay, so again, the power is 12 volts, 1.6 amps, powering the LEDs, and it's now wired in parallel. So because it's wired in parallel, obviously we're getting the 20.7, 20.8 volts. So what I'll do is I'll now change the multimeter to show you what amps I'm going to get from there. Okay, so now that's been switched over. It's now showing the amps, and I'm getting 50 milliamps from the two panels that are now wired in parallel. So two 18 volts, and on Aliexpress it was advertised that they would give 1.1 amps, but that was wrong. Obviously they only give 100 milliamps each. So misadvertising again on Aliexpress. So I'll just show you the power there. 12 volts, 1.6 amps going in, and going out was 50 milliamps at around 20 volts. So now I'm going to connect up the charge controller and the battery, and we'll see what happens then. Okay folks, so again, the power from the power supply is 12 volts, 1.6 amps going in. It goes into two 18 volt batteries which are now wired, which are still wired in parallel. So when we put the multimeter on it, it was showing 20 volts. They're now wired into a Victron MPPT controller, and that's the battery that it's connected to there, and it's showing 100% on the battery. Now if we look at the Victron information, it says the voltage from the solar is 15.8 and the voltage on the battery is 12.16. But there are no amps coming in from them panels at all. Now, as I said before, the battery is 100% charged. I did run it down, and I did try this when it was completely run down on the battery. And I wired this up the same way, and I tried connect up to see if any amps would go to the battery. And there was still no amps going to the battery, even when the battery was at 0%. There was still no amps coming through. So there's the battery status there. 100%, 12.1. There's the Victron charge controller saying 15.74. And the voltage is 12.16 at the battery. And that's wired in parallel. So there should be some amps coming in there. So what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to switch everything off, put it into serial mode, wire the panels in series, and then I'll show you the same thing again and see what happens. Okay folks, so again to show you 12 volts coming in, 1.6 amps going in, and it's now wired in series. And I did put a multimeter on this just to double check what voltage I was getting out when it was wired in series, and it was showing 41 volts. So there's 41 volts coming from there, from the panels, but on the Victron it's saying that it's only seeing 12 volts, and there's 12 volts on the battery. There's no amps again. Now this could be because the battery's 100% charged, and obviously you won't take any more charge, but I was expecting to see a higher voltage on the solar, but it seems to be smaller than when I had it set up in parallel. So it could be that because these panels are very small voltage and very small amps, it's just not picking it up, and that's a possibility. But I thought it would register the voltage, at least maybe show 41 volts coming in with no amps, but it's not. It's only showing 12, which is very strange. And maybe because the amount of power from the solar panels is so small that the Victron cannot pick it up. And maybe that's the case, I don't know, I'm just guessing. Answers on the postcard, folks. But there you have it. So it's wired in series. That's gone up in voltage there for some reason. So I hope that shows what's happening when you run in the LEDs. So there is power coming from the LEDs, but you're going to need the amps. It's not just about the voltage, you're going to need the amps. And because these panels are producing so little in ampage that I don't think the Victron can pick it up. I was expecting a bit more than that, so I'm surprised it's not showing a higher voltage. So I think if these were wired in parallel, you'd probably see more of the voltage coming in. Cheers.